So after all these techie and deep dive technical stuff presentations, I'll make a presentation about the monetization of GraphQL, so how GraphQL can be used in composable commerce. So it will be more a high-level presentation of the usage of GraphQL, and I'll present two showcases how we used GraphQL to create successful composable commerce applications. This is me. I'm an engineer. Was a consultant for several years for product lifecycle management. And when I'm talking about product lifecycle management, I mean physical products like machines, products you buy, products you can touch, the products that really exist in the physical world. And this is a book. This is 8 books, and this is a lot of books. And when you have a look at the B2C commerce world, it basically all is about quantity. And probably that's why Amazon started this way, selling books, and they just sold books in quantities. And that's still in the heart of all B2C applications, that you just search for a product and then say the quantity you want to buy, put it into a cart and check it out. Now, the world gets a bit more complicated when you look to B2B, and this is 3 examples of products that our customers sell. On the left side, there is an emergency stop switch that is composed by several components, and the components define the features of the product. So it depends what switches are connected to the actuator to define what attributes the product finally has. In the middle you see a dental prosthesis system, and on the right side it's a cable which is sold customizable to the client. So the client can choose in the store application the length of the cable that is individual. It can choose connector A and it can choose connector B, and yes, of course, also the quantity. So you have already 4 different attributes how product is sold and how it is put into a cart. So the main difference between B2C store applications and B2B store applications, that if you're talking about B2B, we immediately have configurable products, and that's where I want to continue to the showcase I brought with. The showcase is about Tommel Medical, which is a Swiss development and manufacturing company for dental prosthesis systems. And main clients of the companies are dentists, dental technicians, and yes, all the dental companies. When we start to build an application, we always have a look at the customer journey. So the customer journey leads to the architecture. And when I say customer journey, I usually mean the product model, but I'll come to that. So in a few words, this is our approach, and in this time the customer journey did look like this. And in this customer journey we tried to figure out how the generalists, how the expert or dentist, dental assistants will move through the application. And we find a lot of different paths and a lot of different views. And I'll show some of them different paths and views in the next slide. So there is this usual navigation through the categories to find the product. There is a way to scan products and add them direct to the cart. There is, of course, the search on Google. This is usually what patients will do to find the products if the dentists tell the patients what products they will implant. And then there is a very important thing for B2B, at least, that you have, as soon as you sell a system of products, that you know what products are matching, that you are able to also upsell, cross-sell, and can make sure that the products will match when you implant them. And this is, of course, very important for a prosthesis system, because there you're regulated, and that's the worst that could happen when you're during an operation and you see that the screw does not match the implant. So then we were looking for a shop system that we could use to support all that different use cases through the customer journey. And yes, a standard shop would solve 80% of the use cases, but the individual 20% and all future new features that we don't even know will cost many times more. And probably you've seen the comic about the web interface standards, where finally it end up getting as many standards as customers. And it's a bit the same for B2B shop applications. So we decided to build the shop from scratch, at least the front end from scratch, and use a composable approach, where the front end is tailor-made to the customer's use case, and the building blocks are standardized building blocks and guarantee high robustness and scalability. So then in this approach, APIs and in this case specifically GraphQL was the glue that keeps together the progressive web application, the front end, through the order management system and the content management system. We built it all on the following stack. As a content management system, we are using HighGraph in this case, which is a content management system providing a GraphQL interface, which is the core to this application when it comes to content delivering and content modeling. We used Commerce Layer for the order management, used Algolia for the search, and SAP and an SAP connector for the enterprise backend, which was already in place. So in the composable enterprise architecture, the tech stack is built on cloud services. And in this architecture, it is all focusing on flexibility, scalability, and APIs. And that's where GraphQL came in place, and that's where it gets very handy with GraphQL. Well, the fact that GraphQL request specifies all desired data fields means that the client can use declarative data fetching, and it's always just fetching the data needed. And it also leads to the situation that we can create in the backend a product model and a business model, and do not know the future views on the front end. We can create a product model because as a company we know how our product works. So we know what products is, how it's structured, how it's configured, and that's how we will sell the product also in the future. But what we don't know is how our applications that make benefit of the product data, how they are structured. And that's where GraphQL is really brilliant, where, for example, for this easy navigation from categories to product groups, there is nested query from categories to product groups down to products. For the scan to cart features, it's just querying using the same scheme where we filter within a product list for the product item we find in the scanned data matrix. It's while Google, of course, doesn't use our GraphQL API, but we use the GraphQL to create the correct metadata of all pages or page states of our single-page application to provide the correct the product scheme that it can be indexed and then find on Google. Well, it's the same for matching products, that we can query the products and the product relations to find the products matching in the platform. So with GraphQL, different views on the same data are possible. And in the front end, the relevant data can be retrieved according to the situation without having to make any changes to the backend. And, well, fewer requests with no overfetching increase the performance. So we have a very fast front end with a very high lighthouse score and whatsoever. And so adding items to the cart in Zurich is at the same speed and adding item in Singapore, and navigating through the categories are basically instant everywhere. And that also leads to winning a lot of awards at the Best of Swiss Web Awards in this year. But to summarize the use case of Thomson Medical, with GraphQL, the following goals were easily achieved. So we were able to have a very short time to market. So with GraphQL, we were able to ship the software faster. We have a low risk for vendor lock-in. Very important is that we have no redundant data management, as we selected a CMS system which only holds the data of the product model, and the composable commerce, the ORM layer, which do not care about the content. So we have two systems which are independent and no redundant managing of product data. It was easy to integrate with the existing content, and also with the short time to market or shipping product faster is the high developer productivity with interfaces for these complex B2B functions. And yes, it basically did underline Thomson Medical's claim, driven by science and not trends. Now I've brought with a second use case. It's the one of EAO. They are a producer and vendor of switches, not only emergency stop switches, as you see here. In this case, yes, they have a lot of different products, and the difficulty is that they have some hundred of thousands of product variants. And within their marketing website, they have a structure with a market. The market consists of applications, an application consists of functions. And so it's very tricky to show which of these hundred thousands of product variants to show on what pages. So there is some metadata, I said before, to all these products. So it's the series, it's the market, it's the application, it's the market application structure, it's the functions where they're in. And when we now build content pages that will show some of the products, we can use these structure from market to application to function and series to query the products within that data model. So on the left side, it's a product where we call from the market of the heavy duty market that fits to a crane vehicle with the series 82. And on the right side, it's a flipped query where we query for 45 series, also in crane vehicles and heavy duty, but it's all based still on the same data model, same database, just different queries. So basically the key of using GraphQL and having most profit of GraphQL for the front-end application is that you have a product model that supports classifying products in different tree structures. A tree structure could be like a series tree structure or a market application tree structure. The second one is that you have a product model that supports all the configuration of your product, so that you can filter by attributes and all the different dimensions of the configuration. And the third one is to build in your product model the map of how products relate to each other. And if you have all these three factors built within your product model, then you can use GraphQL and build B2B commerce applications that fit the needs of your store. So the conclusion is that if you want to have B2B commerce that scales, it helps a lot to have a typed product model that supports the customer journey. So also having flexible GraphQL for all product content to the front end. And where it comes handy is that GraphQL also is good for forward compatibility. It's easy to update the server in a way that doesn't break existing clients. So this is particularly handy for mobile apps or single-page applications where you do not know if they are still living in the client while you are updating the server. And on the backend part, it's also very useful to have stable API for all transactional business logic. So there is a separation between using something on the front end with short life cycles and using GraphQL on the back end for long life cycle, guaranteeing forward compatibility for single page applications and mobile applications. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm already through my slides. Thank you very much for your attention, and yes, keep playing.